Good afternoon if you're in Ontario East, and it's still good morning if you are in Manitoba and going west. And welcome to another interview of a great Canadian technology company hosted by us here at the Net Effect. Uh, Today, I would like to Jason Hurd. Jason is the founder and CEO of Tradetraks, a great application for subcontractors, particularly that are working in the combined world of projects and services. We became familiar with Tradetraks about 3 years ago and have recommended it to a number of our clients as the time has gone on. And we get, or I shouldn't say we get the rave reviews. Tradetraks gets rave reviews from the clients that have started to use it. And we're very, very glad to have the opportunity today to have Jason and his team share the merits of Tradetraks with you. For those of you who are looking to Google it, it's Trade and Traks, doesn't have a C, Traks, if you are looking to find the website for it. So Jason, welcome, and tell us a little bit about your background. We certainly, it's a great story to share with our clients.
Yeah, for sure, Craig. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys bringing me on and giving me a chance to speak to you guys again, and for everyone else that's joined as well. I truly value the relationship that we've been able to build between the Net Effect and Tradetraks, and appreciate your willingness to show it to your prospective clients when they come forward. So my background, I'm an electrician by trade. I started in the trade when I was 15 and working for my dad, and I wore all the hats. His company was called Fairway Electrical Services, and yeah, through my apprenticeship, I was taught to work hard, and of course back then it was all done in pen and paper. And from there, I got to wear the the project management hat and the estimating hat, and got a taste of all aspects of the business. And eventually to run that business when my dad was retired. And through that experience, I got to use many different applications, software applications, to help and run and manage manage the business. And I'm not going to lie, I found it quite difficult. It was a challenge. It was a challenge, even though we were we were forthright in our ability to use those technical applications, bidding applications, health and safety applications, service dispatching applications. What we found was it was actually getting more difficult to run the business. It was challenging because those applications weren't talking with one another, and it was pushing departments of the business as we were growing further apart and not bringing them together. So that's where Tradetraks really came in. We thought we could probably build an application that could help tie the business back together, bring the people back together under one application. And so that's what we've set out to do, is to build that application that can bring the company together.
Great. And a couple of things that I've always admired about you, Jay, is that you are an electrician by training, and by family, right? I guess, in the sense that you work you worked in a family business. One of the other things is that you didn't just inherit it. You were, if I'm not mistaken, you were top 30, under 30 at one point in time, and now you are a top 40 under 40, according to On-Site Magazine in Canada. So I think that's truly a recognition of your earnest efforts to build a great business, both in the technology field as well as in the in the electrical contracting field. But more importantly, I know that that has led you into a number of leadership areas in the Canadian construction industry, both as a subcontractor and as a member of, I believe it's the Hamilton Halton Home Builders Association. You're on the board with them, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, the Hamilton Halton Construction Association. I'm currently the vice chair there with the association. I've been involved with that association for quite some time. I enjoy, coaching youth hockey and doing all sorts of things that keep me sort of distracted from the busy work life that I do have, and all all the volunteering that I do within the construction industry. You're right. I was top 40 under 40 actually 2 times, and some of the recognition that we got with the business that I was running. We landed on Canada's fastest 500 growth companies 2 years straight, which was great recognition to get as an electrical contractor. You don't hear too many electrical contractors that are getting that type of recognition and able to grow their businesses in a responsible and fiscal way. But we managed to do that, and honestly, it was because of the processes and the procedures that we had implemented that helped run the business and help guide the business. And so, I wanted to share all that, and that's exactly what Tradetraks does.
Super. Well, why don't we use that as a jumping point for you to go in and start to share the application with our audience today. Give them an idea of how Tradetraks can provide 3, 5, 10x growth to a subcontractor in these days, and how they can better control their business and all the aspects of it with an application like Tradetraks.
For sure. I'll go ahead and share my screen here and take control. Can you see that now?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. So we will log into Tradetraks. Tradetraks is a progressive web application. So as long as you have internet connectivity, you can get to your Tradetraks. You can get to your Tradetraks application. Tradetraks, what it does is it focuses on the 4 key pillars or tracks of a business. That's the operations, finance, health and safety, and communications. So every time we're building out a new feature within the application, we want to make sure that we're considering those 4 key tracks of a business. Operations this day and age, it's paramount that health and safety is given some deep consideration, and communication as well as finances. So we don't want to just build an application that's going to benefit the operations. We want to make sure we're benefiting the other 4 tracks at the same time. It all ties together, and that's how Tradetraks is designed. And so up here at the top here, we have our quick hits menu. This is just where a user can go and clock in for their day, pick the project or the service job that they're clocking into, and start reporting their time. We have the ability to submit our expenses through our expense submission tool, just like this, capture receipts, and then fill out the rest of the fields so that we're properly capturing and allocating costs as they come up in real time. We have our own profile here. We have the ability to message and communicate with our entire team in real time. By going to our messages here, we can add our entire team to a particular thread, or we can pick only a certain people that we want to communicate with, give it a subject, a message body, even attach a picture, and then post it. And by doing that, you've created real-time communication with those members of your team. We also have our alert center here. This is just meant to keep you aware of all the things that are really important to you, the user that is logged in. And so here we can see that people have been booking some vacation. There are health and safety certificates that are going to be expiring for our team members. We want to make sure they get retraining. So Tradetraks is doing a great job always, even when we're sleeping, to notify us of when important things are coming up. It's very difficult to manage a business and all the aspects of that business, day in and day out. And so Tradetraks has the tools that are very helpful and necessary, quite frankly, that help keep team members on top of their game. We open up the main menu now. We can see here that there are a number of different modules that come within Tradetraks. Again, this is meant to be an all-encompassing solution for the SMBs in the trade space. Okay, so electrical contractors, plumbers, HVAC technicians, landscapers, roofers, doesn't matter what trade you are. The fact is a lot of these companies, they have incredible similarities from one to the next, and they need similar tools in order to keep, things on track, keep things running efficiently and effectively. So doesn't matter what kind of business you are, you can use, you'll definitely find the benefits of Tradetraks. So we have our main project module and our main service module. That's where a lot of the operational things take place. We have our contact network here. This is where all of our customer and supplier profiles reside. So we can go into any one of we can search for one of our customers here, jump in to their profile. We can see the active work, who works at that company, what kind of, the amount of business and expenses that we're seeing with this relationship. Multiple locations, customer assets that we manage, we can record all the work we're doing there. If there's any service contracts, or maybe we need to customize the invoicing that we're sending to this particular client, we can all do that right from within their profile. So lots of options here on customizing the relationship that we have and how we treat this particular customer, without impacting how we treat all of our customers that we deal with. We have the ability to create an equipment database in Tradetraks, because it's extremely important that not only are we recording the maintenance activities that we're doing with this equipment, but also that we're capturing the charges for that equipment. Companies are investing heavily in equipment in order to do their jobs, and quite honestly, trade companies, they're not valuing those capital investments enough, and they need a better way in order to track not only the maintenance that they're performing on that equipment, but also what they're charging that equipment out at. So here you can see we're in a particular dump truck profile. We can see the serial number, the last time it was serviced, the next time it needs to be serviced, all the maintenance logs, the location of it, images of it, files for it, and also digital forms. So every day before this dump truck goes out and gets driven on a roadway, there is a digital form that is needed to be filled out. And we can see here that opened up in my other screen. Unfortunately, I won't be able to share it right now, but every morning there's a digital form that gets filled out for this particular truck. That just ensures health and safety compliance, for the company. That truck should not be rolling out of the yard or out of the driveway unless it's deemed safe by the operator. We have the ability to customize our material database. So every company, again, it's very challenging ensuring that all of the team members are utilizing one single price list, one single material database for all their project quoting, all their service quoting, all their service time and material work, and then eventually all of the invoicing. So Tradetraks enables effective management over one single material database, so that the entire team is leveraging the same information. So here you can see we have an example of 1.25" EMT conduit. We have all the part numbers and all of the trade prices. And again, the entire company is able to leverage that one single list. One of my favorites here, we have our employee database. This is where this is a little bit of the HR aspect of Tradetraks, but we have the ability here to see all of our employees, whether they're at work or not, based on their clock in and clock out status, as well as we can jump into any one of their profiles. We can see personal details, home address, emergency contacts, sick days and vacation days that have been used. All of their work history is all right here from their clock in and clock out data. Health and safety certificates, any time logs they've ever created in the system, expenses they submitted, digital forms they filled out, etc. So an entire employee management system right where you do all your work. It's incredibly convenient and very effective for, managing your staff.
Jay, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Really terrific in terms of keeping track of the certification. Is this certification able to be shown to a safety inspector from the government at the job site? How do when they come in for their periodic and surprise inspection? How do you deal with showing that everybody's got their certifications?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, first thing I'll lead with is Tradetraks is helping employers, it's empowering the employees, and it's uniting the teams. Okay, and that second piece is really important. Empowering the employees, really important. And unfortunately, a lot of applications don't really give enough consideration or credit to the employees that are really making it happen in the field. And those employees, unfortunately, they just don't have access to the information that they need to make good decisions on behalf of the companies that they're working for. The other thing that they don't have is they don't have access to all of their own information. So, if this individual was ever approached by a health and safety inspector and said, "Hey, I want you to show me all your wallet cards," well, very simple. On their phone, they would just go to their own profile, go to the certificate tab, and they would be able to bring up a copy of every single certificate that they have in their possession. So there's no need to carry around physical wallet cards anymore. All they have to do is scan each of the certificates, input all the detail, and not only does the employer have the information, the employee will always have the information as well, wherever they go, as long as they have that phone that's connected to the internet with them.
Great. And we do have a question from the audience, and
For sure.
we can get to it after you've completed your demo.
For sure. Okay.
We'll come back to that after you've finished.
Yeah, feel free to stop me at any point. I rifle through this pretty quickly, but I don't mind stopping and answering questions as they come up as well. So you just let me know. We have next up, we have our expense our expense review. So this is where employees that are typically admin staff are able to go in and see all of the expenses that have been booked against the jobs that they manage. So the system knows, well, I manage this particular project, so I can go in here and I can go and view this particular expense. So there it is right there. So it's going to tell me who submitted it, the value of the expense. I can go and look at the actual copy of the receipt or the invoice that we received for that expense. And if I'm good with this, I'm just going to go ahead and approve it and ship it off. So that's how we go about reviewing all the expenses and not letting an expense slip through the cracks. As soon as that purchase is made, it's required to be submitted into the system, allocated properly, and then it goes right through a review, an appropriate review that is conducted by the managers that are managing the jobs that they're posted against. We have our time log review feature right here. So here you could see different tiles that have been created under employees and associated to particular projects. So here we can see that this employee clocked in at 6:46, clocked out at 5:16, spent a total time of 10.5 hours on the job. This is perfect information. This is great. I can now see when the job ended, when the day ended, and when the day began and when the day ended for this employee. Okay, we could see that he ended up booking 8.5 hours, so that's well within the range that we would expect. We can also see the clock in and clock out position. The system's telling me that this individual clocked in 0.3 kilometers from the job and ended up clocking out 8.7 kilometers from the job. So this raises a little bit of suspicion, and I'm able to go here to the map and actually see exactly where that clock out happened. So if I'm suspicious that this employee maybe forgot to clock out or clocked out well off site, I'll be able to question that right here. and I actually say, hey, what happened? Right to this employee, I can send them a message right now that will ask them, please justify why, you know, you clocked out offsite. So we can, you know, that level of oversight, that level of accountability, it's fantastic. It's good for everybody, not just the employer, but also the employee too. You know, this is all good information. It's accurate, and it's valuable in that way. So once all the time log reviews have happened, a pay period report, a very detailed pay period report, is then generated for whoever is running payroll for that week. And we can go in here, we can see all the different jobs that this individual worked across all the different rates and all the different hours that got worked on the different days. We go in here, we have a nice clean timesheet for every single employee. All that time for the entire week is now ready for payroll, but it's also reporting on all of the jobs that the time was booked to. So it's capturing everything. Not 1 hour ever goes missed. Tradetraks has the invoices. So we're able to send out invoices to all of our customers because whether they're a service invoice or a project invoice, we're able to generate invoices and manage them all right within the app. So we can see here, this invoice is finalized on sent. It hasn't been processed into the accounting software yet. But if we click on the link, it'll bring us right into the job, right to the invoice tab inside of that job, and it'll give us all that great detail that made up this invoice. So we can see the service tasks, we can see materials that were required, labor that was worked, which has come directly from the clock in and clock out information, so on and so forth. So we have the ability to manage all of our invoices, all of our company invoices right within the application. Next up is the health and safety. So we talked a little bit earlier about health and safety training certificates and managing those. You know, so there's many employees that work at the organization, and even if there aren't, it's still tricky to manage all of the training that each employee has. So here you can see we have our employee list down the left-hand margin. We have all the certificates listed across the top, and every single one of these boxes represents a certificate that somebody has. Red means retraining is required immediately. Yellow means look out, there's retraining that's required very soon, and green means it's in good standing. So we can go into any one of these certificates, and it's going to tell us when it expires exactly, and it'll give us a little snapshot of what that certificate is. So this is incredibly effective for ensuring that your company is, always in compliance with its training requirements. We have the ability to create digital forms inside of Tradetraks, and we can glue those forms to different things throughout the application. Example, equipment forms. Here's all the different types of equipment forms that this particular test company has created. And we can go into dump truck inspections, for example, and we can go look at exactly what that dump truck inspection form looks like. So here's an example of that template. So when users or employees are going about driving dump trucks, they need to go in and ensure that they complete this form. They got to tell us exactly what dump truck they're driving for the day, and then walk through each one of these questions to ensure that that dump truck is it's good to drive. It's compliant. It's safe. All the safety equipment, the documentation. There are no fluid leaks or anything like that. All that sort of stuff. You can customize any kind of form that you want inside of Tradetraks. We have the ability to schedule inside of Tradetraks, manage our locate tickets. So all our call before you dig tickets, we can manage all of those within Tradetraks as well. And then finally, we have our library. So this is a place where the company can put company-wide documentation that can be acknowledged. You can ask for acknowledgments from your employees. So this is where policies and procedures and manuals your company has, you might want to keep, and you might want to keep it in a bit of a public space. This is where you can put it. You can put it in your library. You can tag the documents differently so they're easy to find. And again, this is just a great way to make sure that those documents aren't stuck on a server or they're not They're not a paper copy in a filing cabinet in your office. They're actually accessible from every device that's connected to the internet, so long as there's a login to your, a login and access to your company files. We'll jump into the services module now. And the services module, Craig, as you said during your introduction, I went into the wrong module. But Tradetraks, it really focuses on helping companies that have either a service department or a project department or both. Okay, so it can help companies manage all aspects of the different styles of jobs that they have. This is the service module here, and this is where when we first go to it, we land on the all list. But if I'm just focused on the work that I'm doing, I go to my list, and the system's going to bring forward only the work that I manage. And if, what we can do here, because we're administrators, we can actually look through all of the different tabs within the service module. So I can see there's 68 jobs currently in dispatch state. There's 28 jobs in the incomplete state. We have complete, review, processing, and invoice. So as companies are moving these jobs through their life cycle, they can actually track them, move them through, and get them as quick to the invoicing tab as possible. Okay, we can go into the invoice tab and we can go and look at any one of these jobs. So we can click into a recently invoiced job. We can see all the details of this job. We can see that it was scheduled to happen on 2 days. We can see the time logs that were reported on the job. We can go over to the worksheet and we can see that there were detailed entries. So whoever the tech was out in the field has provided us with some detail about what they went and did, and also listed out the material that they used to get the job complete. They can view the work requested and get the customer to sign that before they even start work on the job if it's necessary. They can see who the customer is and how to get a hold of them. They can get directions to the job by launching Google Maps, and that'll take them from where they are currently, right? The most efficient way to the job address. And then finally, all this information that's completed on the worksheet, it actually just ends up automatically detailing on our invoice. So we can see here on the 17th and 19th, we have all those notes from the field that have shown up on our invoice for us without us lifting a finger. We can go here to the materials tab. We can see exactly what material was utilized, and we can see that it was adjusted and marked up appropriately. We can see that there's some equipment that was charged out for. Additional charges, there are none. Display settings, it's all set properly. And then finally, the delivery. That we can go in here, we can email this invoice to the customer just like that, nice and quick, right out of Tradetraks. We don't have to, manipulate it if we don't want to. We can do a quick review and get that into our customers' hands very quickly. Here we can also look at the activity log, and we can see exactly when it was sent to the customer and when they viewed it. So again, another very handy feature to ensure that our customers aren't pulling the wool over our eyes. That if we've sent them something, we're going to be able to check that they got it. Back to services. We have the ability to manage our service contracts inside of Tradetraks, our service tasks. If we have task lists that we'd like, we can create quote templates for quick quoting in the future if we're doing jobs that are similar in nature to ones that we've completed in the past. Very handy. The other thing that we can do is we can create emergency work orders. So for those that are on call and working at night, they have the ability to go and create an emergency work order. The system's going to require just a little bit of information, but enough information that will let the office know that an emergency took place the night before, if that's when it happened, and we'll know who the customer was, and all the details of what got complete for that during that emergency job. We can slide over to projects now, and inside of projects, we can see our entire project list. We have the ability to create very detailed project bids inside of Tradetraks, and we can convert those bids to live jobs. So all that work we do and all that detail that we put in to creating a project bid, we can convert those over right into our schedule of values that makes up our project. So here's an example of a project bid. We can look at the bid structure here. We can see that there are a number of items in this project bid. We can see that this bid is broken into 2 different sections. We can go into any one of those sections and it'll highlight exactly where I am in this project bid. And it'll help me, make decisions. We can see here on the PDF here of how exactly this project bid is going to present itself to the customer when we're done adjusting it. All of the compiled elements of this bid we can see right here. So the system's gone through, even though there's about 45 different items in this bid, it's taken all the material that from each of those items and compiled them right here in this list. So we can see exactly what's going to be required as far as the material goes in this bid. Then there's all the labor compiled, the equipment compiled, supplier quotes compiled. So lots of great stuff that we're able to do in project bids to help us win more work.
Jay, we're getting a few questions from our audience today, and we have about 10 minutes left. If we can start to maybe answer some of those questions.
Absolutely. Yep.
The questions that we've got is, so what's involved with the onboarding process? How does a company acquire this, but then more importantly, how do they train their employees on how to use it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Tradetraks, we have built I'll say a phenomenal onboarding program, and where we run companies through the entire application and train them on every feature of the application at the speed of which is comfortable with that particular company and that team. So every onboarding is just a little bit customized to make sure that it fits the needs of the company that we're onboarding at that time. And now, training never really stops. We're constantly answering questions. We do a live webinar series ourselves where we're putting out information about how to use different aspects of the application. And we'll even offer 1-hour free training sessions with teams to make sure that that they're getting best use of the application. We do charge for our onboarding package initially, but like I said, it's well worth it. It's a great investment, to ensuring that when you're in, you're doing a great job of it, and you're able to to take advantage of all these tools that would otherwise be worth thousands and thousands of dollars through the use of multiple other applications.
Sure, thanks. Another question that we've got: how do you handle one client with? How does the system handle one client with multiple projects, both service and project work? How do you keep it straight?
How do you keep the different types of jobs straight?
Yeah, we noticed that you've got one client, where you've got a combination of projects and services.
Yep.
They've got multiple locations. How do you on the back end make sure that you can see what each one of those activities is doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Tradetraks does a phenomenal job of keeping all that straight for you, because it's leveraging the different databases and all the information that you've given it. So even though you might be doing a couple of projects with one client and then a number of services for that same client, it recognizes that the nature of one job is different from the nature of the other. There's also, every job has a distinct address, and so it's able to it's able to delineate between those jobs that way. You know, every job gets its own living, breathing thing that is very much separated from another job. So it never gets crossed up. Every job gets a unique identifying number, a job number, and project numbers are different from service numbers. So there's no way that information can get crossed between one job and another.
Thanks. And then another question that came in was, how does Tradetraks compare to Service Titan?
Oh, geez. I mean, Tradetraks it's very different than Service Titan. I can't speak for Service Titan, obviously. I know a little bit about Service Titan. I do know that it's, you know, it's geared towards service-based companies primarily. They don't have a project management piece to it. Although they claim they do, I don't believe that they do. Not in the way that Tradetraks does, anyways. And we haven't dove into the project management piece too much here today because we're a little bit short on time. But you know, Service Titan. The other thing I can say, I don't believe it has employee management and health and safety management and those other aspects that I believe are really important for organizations to have in a software. So that's where Tradetraks is very different than not just a Service Titan, but from many other platforms.
Okay, great. And John is asking, what accounting programs do you integrate with?
Yeah, at this time we integrate with QuickBooks Online. We don't have other integrations in place. QuickBooks Online, though, we have a very deep, robust integration with. Yeah, it's proven to be pretty fantastic.
Okay. And also from John, can this software manage lump sum jobs?
Yes, of course. Yes, it can absolutely handle lump sum jobs. You know, it can be your pricing can be as complex as you want it to be, or it can be just very simply just lump sum. And your billing can be broken down. Even if it's a lump sum job, your billing can be broken down so you can bill out portions of a job as you're completing those.
Right. So one of the things that has always impressed me about Tradetraks is actually some of what we're looking at on our screen right now, and that's your dashboarding. And so what, describe how you can customize a dashboard for the various roles that people play in the organization and give them the information that they need in order to do their job. Can you describe that a little bit more, please?
Yeah, I mean, Tradetraks it's a permission-based system. So, you know, I think that it's really important that, you know, like I was saying earlier, the more information you can give to people, the better. But of course, you may not want everybody to have certain information. So inside of every employee profile, there's a permission set that you can dynamically set in order to ensure that, you know, each team member has the information you'd like that team member to have. Not only just our main dashboard, but each of our project dashboards are important too. We have all the information as it pertains to this individual project here, so we can see the health of the project. Again, not everybody sees this, only the people that you want to. But if I'm a project manager of this job, or maybe an administrator, I'm going to want to see how this job is performing. What is the weather at the job right now? Who are the roles at this job, and how do I get a hold of them if I need to, you know, quickly, you know, get in touch with somebody. Inside of a project, we have the ability to message. We have our locate management, our time logs, our expenses. We can create change orders inside of a project. Right inside of an individual project, we can create our change orders, you know, just to make sure that we're capturing those costs and not you know, not lose out on any missed opportunities. You know, let's create those change orders right within that job, and let's make sure we get them billed. So we're going to add those change orders as they're getting approved right to our schedule of values right at the bottom here. Here's all the approved change orders on this job. You know, so it's, you know, we have all these different dashboards and all these different tools that are all over the place in this application. It doesn't mean everybody gets access to them, but it's incredibly powerful information to have at your fingertips when you want it. You know, right now I want to see purchase orders, or I want to see all the project notes. I can go right in here and I can look at all the project notes. You know, every daily note that's been created for this project, I can go in and see all that great work that the team is doing. This is, you know, information at your fingertips, dashboards. You know, that's just, you know, that's what people need.
Thanks, Jay.
Sure.
We have a great question coming in from Catherine.
Yeah.
She's saying, can the locate features be disabled? They're not legal for us in Quebec. I don't think she's talking about the call before you dig locate. I think she's talking about using GPS to keep an eye on where your employees are located.
Right. Yeah. Good question. So the way Tradetraks works, because it's a progressive web application, we're not able to follow our employees around. All it does is it asks the device where it is, and it asks the time when they hit the button. Right. So it's just going to drop a pin. It's going to say, hey, this is where I am when I'm clocking in, or this is where I am when I'm clocking out. If in the event that you still don't want that, then you just shut location off in the device and it won't report the location. And it'll just simply just track the time.
Jay, we've got about a minute and a half left, so I'm going to go to the question two questions. One is, quickly, what are you doing with respect to AI? We get asked that all day, every day.
Good question. You know, currently we don't have any AI projects in the pipeline. You know, we're focused on just building out the tools that you see here today that I believe companies need to help them run a more efficient and prosperous business. AI will come. You know, there are little tricks that we're going to be able to do to help you know, with the use of AI, but at this point, we're not focused on that. I believe there are thousands of businesses out there that really just need, you know, the basics, need the help to get onto a platform like this. We start there, and by the time they're there, you know, we'll start giving AI some consideration.
Thanks for that insight, and I know that anything that over the years that we have suggested to you, if it's not there, we usually find out that it is going to be very soon. So that brings us to the end of our presentation today. Jay, thank you so much for the time, and thanks to the audience for the great questions that came along. You will be receiving an email from us in the next short period of time before the end of this week, suggesting that if you need to get a hold of us to help you better understand, when I say us, I'm talking about either Tradetraks or the net effect, to better understand how Tradetraks can help your organization. We look forward to hearing from you, and have a great rest of your week, folks. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you.